It is 8:15 in the morning on August 6, 1945. People in Hiroshima are starting their Tuesday. Commuters are boarding trams, students are walking to class, and the city is quietly waking up. Thousands of feet above them, an American B-29 bomber called B. Enola Gay opens its bay doors and releases a weapon named Little Boy. It is a 3-meter-long steel cylinder housing a dense uranium core. 43 seconds later, that core detonates. The reaction produces a massive flash of heat, reaching millions of degrees, followed instantly by a shockwave moving faster than the speed of sound, flattening buildings outward from the center. The blast pulls dirt and debris upward into a massive column. Within minutes, this dense cloud of smoke and ash pushes 30,000 feet into the atmosphere, completely darkening the sky over the city. The heat and the shockwave are accompanied by a third, invisible mechanism. The detonation blankets the surrounding miles with a lethal dose of gamma and neutron radiation. Humanity had engineered a way to bypass the slow, grinding destruction of artillery. An entire city grid could now be erased in a single second. Down on the ground, the commercial center of Hiroshima is completely gone. Wood and paper structures vaporized, leaving only the reinforced concrete skeletons of a few commercial buildings standing amid flat ash. Tens of thousands of people die instantly. Those who survive the initial flash are left to navigate burning rubble, only to find that nearly every hospital, doctor, and nurse in the blast radius is dead or severely injured. This is a deliberate shift in warfare. The target is an entire functioning urban ecosystem, abruptly switched off. Over the next few days, the initial survivors face a secondary crisis. People who appeared unharmed begin experiencing extreme nausea, hair loss, and internal bleeding, the horrific symptoms of acute radiation sickness. Doctors and nurses examining this young boy struggle to treat deep thermal burns and internal damage from an exposure mechanism they barely understand. While Hiroshima is still burning, the American military moves on to its next target. On August 9th, they load a different device, a much heavier implosion-style bomb called Satman, into another B-29. It detonates over the valley city of Nagasaki. Because it uses a plutonium core instead of uranium, the reaction is even more powerful, driving a massive, thick column of radioactive debris high above the cloud layer. The city's industrial plants, surrounded by steep hills, bear the brunt of the explosive yield. Steel beams from factories are instantly warped and melted, turning entire city blocks into a chaotic wasteland. By executing 2 drops in 3 days, the United States sends a clear message. The atomic bomb is an active, reproducible assembly line of destruction. In Tokyo, Japan's Supreme Council is paralyzed. Their intelligence reports confirm the devastation, making it clear there is no military countermeasure against weapons capable of wiping out whole cities from a single plane. Facing absolute ruin, Emperor Hirohito records a radio address. On August 15, 1945, his voice is broadcast across the nation, announcing Japan's unconditional surrender. With that single broadcast, combat operations cease across the Pacific. The most destructive conflict in human history finally comes to a close. Millions of soldiers fought for 6 years, using rifles, tanks, and battleships. But the fighting stops abruptly because of the applied physics inside 2 metal spheres. The Allied nations celebrate the victory, but the final ledger is stark. Hundreds of thousands of Japanese civilians, men, women, and children, are dead. This forces historians and ethicists to ask a very difficult question. Did the United States actually have to drop these bombs to end the war? This chart compares atomic strike casualties against the planned land invasion, which planners projected would cause millions of deaths. But looking at this map, critics argue Japan was already depleted. A U.S. blockade and Soviet declaration of war meant the empire's collapse was inevitable. We know exactly how the war ended, but whether the atomic strikes were the absolute only way to achieve that outcome remains an open, highly contentious debate. What is absolutely certain is the reality that followed. The underlying science of nuclear fission is now public knowledge, and it cannot be unlearned. Recognizing that future conflicts could obliterate the human race, the global community scrambles to establish strict treaties, leading to decades of non-proliferation agreements aimed at restricting who can build these devices. Every international conflict since 1945 has been negotiated under the atomic shadow, a baseline understanding that miscalculation could lead to instantaneous, widespread ruin. The scientists in the desert and the pilots in the sky engineered a way to stop a global war. In doing so, they left us with a persistent capability to wipe out life on Earth.